Well guys, literally last week I finally got a chance to check out the 2021 editions of the O211s from PXG. These clubs right here, which I really enjoyed out on course. And the next day, literally the next day, PXG releases the new O211 XCor2s. I just happened to get them. Let's have a little fun here and see what is the difference between these two clubs. All right guys, these are 6-irons, just to give you a good idea. The only difference in terms of aesthetically that I can say, because the offset looks very similar with these two clubs, the only aesthetic difference I'd say is that on the right there is the XCor2. And I would say that top line just a little bit more tapered, a little thinner, a little more players looking. In the back of the bag, I think I would probably have trouble even knowing which is which. Obviously the badging's a little bit different there, but if you were just to look at the shape of these clubs, at the profile of these clubs, very similar. Now we're gonna analyze the stats here in just a second. I'm gonna hit some shots here in the simulator studio and show you what the results are. But out on course, after having used both of these sets of golf clubs, I can tell you that the new O211s have a better feel to them. These new XCor2s definitely have better feedback. The O211 DCs had great feel to begin with, but I would say sometimes it felt a little hard or there was a little extra vibration. These new XCor2s honestly feel very close to a forged club feel to me. So absolutely, I would give them the win there based on feel. So on looks, very similar. On feel, definitely has to go to the new XCor2s. So in terms of workability, being able to draw the ball and fade the ball, you're not going to get super dramatic results out of these clubs. And again, that's just the trade-off of having a very forgiving club. I found the O211 DCs to be really forgiving, great in the forgiveness category, but these XCor2s might even be better. I hit a lot of thin shots out on the golf course on the day that I took these out to play with, and a lot of times my distance was still very good. I only came up a couple yards short of where I wanted to be on a not so great strike. So both very forgiving, both clubs not all that workable though. All right, so now let's go ahead, fire up the simulator, hit some shots here, and then we will break down the stats just to see how different these clubs actually perform. All right, first shots I'm gonna take here are gonna be with the O211 DCs. I found these to be extremely forgiving. Obviously the value incredible. I bought them for $79 per club. Extreme forgiveness, good distance, good feel. Let's see what they do here indoors. All right, we've got a flag out there, 160. That one was a little bit pushed. But again, very forgiving club, extremely forgiving club. I hit that 156, I definitely have a little bit more in me. Carried 145, first swing of the day. That's gonna happen. Let's look at the spin there, 46.25. So let's see if we can hit a little better shot here. There we go, much more on line. Swing speed wasn't anything crazy, but look at that, we're on our green. That's what these clubs are capable of, nice and long. I'm hitting the 7-iron here, of course. That one carried 151, rolled out to 166, spin 4,400 RPM. You get another one here. By the way, these clubs set up exactly the same. That was a great strike, even better than the last one. Right on line. 163 when it finally came to a stop. We've got clearly some fast and firm conditions here on the old Foresight range. Brought to you by playbetter.com, by the way. I'm using my Launch Pro. That was carried 146, spin down a little bit, 4,300 RPM, ball speed 103. So a couple of great shots there. Another good strike there, slightly pushed. Let's see if we catch a piece of the green. Nope, we're not gonna catch the green, but a little bit more distance out of that club as I took a little bit more of a swing there for sure. That's 165 with the rollout. The carry a little bit better there though, 153. Our spin up 4,700 RPM, almost 4,800 RPM, so a better strike really there from me. Get one more good one here. That one, pretty good, but I hit it just a little bit off the toe, but again, look at the forgiveness of these clubs. It's really incredible what these 0211s can do. 166, we're on the back of the green there. Our green I set to 160. I would have set it to 165 because that's kind of my stock 7-iron with this type of a lofted club, but carried 150, ball speed leaving the club 105, total spin 4450. Now it's time for my first swings with the XCor2, and gotta say I'm pretty excited. Looking down at these clubs, beautiful, beautiful players. Look to them, nice and thin top line, even thinner than the dual cores, I would say. These XCor2s, thinner. You don't see any of the backside. You didn't see that on the dual core either, the DCs, but that top line is definitely more tapered here. Looks great looking down at it. Good weight to the club too, but let's see how it swings. All right, similar to our first one, I pushed that one just a little bit, so we've got to make a little ball position adjustment here in our stance, but not too bad again. These clubs very forgiving on mishits, just like the DCs were. 157, it looks like it rolled out to, and the carry there, 146. Spin though, 5174, almost 5200 RPM, so spin looks a little better there. That one's similar to my last swing with the DC, so that's going to be a pretty good apples to apples, a little bit more off the toe there. Rolled out to 163. You're always going to get a little bit less spin there when you hit it off the toe and kind of pull it. So we got a little bit more roll. 4200, again, very close to that other strike with the DCs, but let's get a good strike in there. And there we go. That one really seemed to feel great. Came off the club really good. We almost rolled off the green there. 166. 166. The feeling of that strike though, considerably better, I would say, than the DCs. And the DCs weren't bad. I mean, definitely weren't bad, but this thing feels like a forged club from what I can tell. All right, 4,475 RPM. So our RPMs are back down a little bit there, which is fine. Carried 161, rolled out to 166. Ball speed there, 111 though, that's a good number. We'll have to check our swing speed, of course, to make sure we're getting apples to apples, but I'm trying to be consistent here. Another pretty good swing. That wasn't all I had in me though, I gotta say. Although we'll probably, yeah, ooh, yeah. We rolled back there to the fringe again, but we did hit the green. When you're playing with clubs that are a little stronger lofted, they're gonna roll out more. You might have seen me have the Cobra Forge Tech clubs, which I really loved a couple days ago here on the channel. Those things on a 7-iron were only rolling about a foot on the green, and with my 9-iron it was backing up. With these stronger lofted clubs, you're gonna get a little less spin, a little more roll. Carried 154, total 164. Let's see if we can get one more good one here. That was not amazing. You might have heard the contact on the club there. Didn't quite hit it in the middle of the club face, but look again how forgiving that one is. What I'm gonna do here is switch back for a couple swings to the DCs, because again, I wanna get an apples to apples as much as possible, and we'll see how these two clubs compare. And decent strike there for sure. Not perfect, but very good. Very good. And we rolled out to 154. Didn't hit the green though, so maybe it wasn't very good. Felt pretty good though. I think indoors here, I've got a problem like lining up. I think I keep hitting everything right, so I gotta adjust my alignment really. I'm gonna aim a little bit further left. That was a great strike there. That was a really great strike. And landed on the green. That one seemed to stop pretty well, at least for this foresight range. So we'll see what the spin numbers are there. But we had a 155 carry, total 163, so we had 8 yards of roll. 24 feet when we're talking about putting greens. Spin 4624, ball speed 108. That was a good strike. I would like one more really good strike out of these. That one's slightly fat, but pretty good. Gonna hit the line? Yeah, we're on the line, the line. Again, how forgiving are these clubs when I know I hit that one a little bit fat, but boy, that was good for distance and for direction. 3 more swings here with the XCor2s, and then we're gonna compare numbers. Good contact there. That's looking like we should hit the green for sure. Not everything I've got, but pretty darn good. 162 is the total after a 154 carry. Ball speed 106, total spin 42,500 RPMs. That one was similar to that last DC I hit where it was a little fat, but again, look at that forgiveness. 165, so we're getting maybe a couple extra yards on a very similar shot. Carried 156. Let's see what that ball speed was, that'll be interesting. 106, the spin down 3,900, just about 4,000 RPMs. I'm gonna take one more good shot here and then we're gonna take a look at these numbers. Hopefully I make center contact on this club. And I say I probably did there. That was a good swing. Pushed it a tad, but good contact. Went out to 160 there on the right side of the green. It would be a birdie opportunity at least. And carried carried 156, rolled out to 160, ball speed 109, spin is up there, 5,000 RPM at 49.99, just one under in fact. Let's take a look at the stats though and break these down. We should have the equal amount of swings. I would say I've got a pretty good mixture of great strikes, decent strikes, and poor strikes. I am a mere mortal after all. Hit subscribe. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to see the perspective of a guy that doesn't hit the ball 300 yards, it's nice every once in a while. All right, so there you go. A number of swings. Like I said, some good, some bad. I think all in all, pretty similar swings. Let's see, yeah. 76.1 miles per hour on average in terms of club speed versus 76.3 with the XCor2. So 0.2 separating that club head speed on average. I would say this is gonna be about as good as an apples to apples as I can give you. So, on average, ball speed 104.9 with the DCs. With the XCor, the average is 106.1. So basically an extra mile per hour, 1.2. And again, there was a 0.2 difference in swing speed. So mile an hour extra ball speed. In terms of launch angle, 22.2, a little lower here with the XCor at 21.6. In terms of total spin, 4,518 RPMs on average with the 0211 DCs versus 4,515, so pretty much exactly the same. 3 RPM different, guys. When I did hit it well though, I seem to think that up here was a little bit closer, 5,400 and stuff like that. That's the highest, obviously, so maybe let's say 5,100. Yeah, I guess, you know, we hit 52 here. On average, maybe a little bit more consistent with that one, that last one there, a little low. And that was our little low kind of chunky shot there, so 37, 39. One way or the other, 3 RPM. And in terms of peak height, the exact same peak height. Look at that, 29 with the peak height. In terms of carry, 2 extra yards because that maybe 1 mile per hour ball speed. We're getting 2 extra yards of carry. In terms of total though, exactly the same, 162 to 162. But here's what I would say between these two sets of clubs. The XCor2's the better looking club, the better feeling club. In terms of workability, I don't know that answer yet. but I've got to think they might be the more workable club as well, just because I get better feel. Really has a forged feel to it. There's nothing wrong at all with the O211 DCs, but the XCor2 is just a little bit better there in terms of aesthetics. Again, that top line just a little bit thinner as well. Again, both clubs really good. I like the new grips. I mean, again, we're talking about aesthetics. I like the new grips as well. In terms of distance, you're going to get very similar distance, very similar numbers all around. If you are a average swing speed like me, hitting it like I do, you may not see anything that is earth-shattering in terms of differences between these two clubs. However, if you swing it a little harder than me, and as we move into those higher club head speeds, I really think that ball speed may also increase. And so I think these clubs would be longer overall. We were definitely getting better carry with the 7-iron out of the new XCor2s. We just weren't getting as much rollout, but that's a good thing for a lot of folks to get more spin and more control and still get the distance. That is never a bad thing in my mind. That's the problem with a lot of these forward pressed irons, is they spin out too much. I love the Stealths from TaylorMade. It's so nice to hit a 7-iron 165, 170 yards, but the thing is, they don't stop. They keep rolling to 175, and it's almost too much. It's hard to hold greens. With these XCor2s, I think you're gonna hold a couple more greens, maybe score 1 or 2 strokes lower potentially because of having that control and that extra spin on good strikes. All in all, two great clubs, really hard to go wrong with either. I think if you've got the O211s already, the 2021 models, the DCs, I don't really think there's a need to necessarily step up at this point, but if you're just getting into the PXG family, I think you're gonna love these XCor2s in terms of forgiveness. It's gonna be the most forgiving club right now in their lineup. The Gen 5's fantastic clubs, I'm sure. I will be testing those as well, but those are suited more for players. These are more for your mid to higher handicappers out there. And boy, are they both really good, these clubs. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you haven't already, here's a couple of reviews, including my PXG O211 2021 review on course. I hope to catch you back here real soon on another edition of Let's Play Through.